The Google Gang Podcast.
So when I'm speaking, I'm about here.
And when I'm speaking, I'm about here. I'm still a little bit bigger than you, but not by as much.
You are a little bit bigger than me anyway, though. So, although no, when I'm using my actual real voice, look, there you go, it's picking up better now.
Yeah.
That should be alright. We can get started whenever you're ready.
Right, sure.
We are on.
Okay. I'm just chewing, bro. Chewing like a villain.
Elaine. By the way, do you have a break in yours? I forgot. Do you just
No.
go all the way through?
We just fucking do it.
Okay, right, sweet. I'm ready.
Get comfortable, cunt. Remember, you're not on the video, so you can
True.
you can be who you are, man.
I'll go like this a bit then.
Oh.
It's a bit better. I can be who I am.
That's good, mate. That's exactly what we want from this. So, Phil, how long have you had long hair for?
Yeah, end of 2018 now, so around the end of 2016, around
Okay.
2017. It was something that when I was younger, I was like, oh, cool, having long hair would be alright. But I was always just terrified to do anything. Like,
Commit.
yeah, to commit to anything aesthetically. You know, like, I went through a phase of wanting to be like the punk rock kid kind of thing in school.
Like gothic.
Not gothic, but like, I know, like, you know, bands like Blink-182 and that kind of
Yeah.
style. For a little bit, and then for a long time I was like heavy into hip hop, but never wanted to wear anything that was too like, which I'm glad about because you can look lame. For a very long time, you could make me on a video game very easily. Do you know what I mean? Like, you just pick the standard like guy one, and it's like a guy with brown short brown hair. And he just wears plain clothing. That was me for a long time.
Fuck.
And
Were you
then-
happy with that?
Not really, no. I kept thinking like, I wanna like, what? I'd try and put a weird hat on and be like, this is me now.
Yeah.
And we'd be like, I don't know, it doesn't really match.
You just look like a guy in a weird hat.
Yeah,
You
you
know?
look like Guy One in a weird hat rather than
And Tony
like,
Hawk's Pro Skater 3.
That's exactly what I was
Yep.
thinking when I did the analogy.
That's it. Beautiful, beautiful. Look, you are listening to the Giggle Gang podcast. It's Matty Shaw here, joined by Mr. Sayin Sutton himself, Phill Sutton from Sayin Sutton podcast. How many mentions can we get in of your podcast, mate?
Sayin Sutton podcast.
That's another one.
That's another
Bang!
one.
There it is.
Boom.
You are letting me use your studio today. And you actually do have like a studio space. Like, is this area used for, anything else other than doing this?
Yeah, it's also used for chilling in, and basically I should explain what it's not just a studio for anyone who hasn't seen my podcast or anything like that. It's just the shed outside the back of my house, and
It's a cool shed, though.
yeah, it is a cool shed. We've got a TV. Oh, I shouldn't be telling everyone what we've got in my house. No, I'm joking. You don't know where the fuck I live.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got like a TV.
It's
set up in
Tilsley.
here. Oh, not quite actually. Good. Let's say it's Tilsley. Yeah, let's pretend it's Tilsley.
Go and
Yeah.
loot a shed in Tilsley, you fucking spice heads.
Yeah, and it's outside the back of my house. It was basically, my house has been converted from a second-hand shop, and they've got three. I'm making a great description for anyone who does want to rob me. There's like two garages and a shed outside the back of my house. It's not quite a shed. Like, you imagine a shed to be this little small thing. It's like, it used to be a chicken coop, so it's like this big room. And
It stinks of chicken shit. Fucking horrible. In there. I hate coming to
that's
do this
us, though.
podcast.
That's us. And yeah, we hang out in here. Somewhere to just chill, not when it's a bit rainy and stuff like that. Like,
Keeps you warm. Does this place have a leak?
a leak. Yeah, there's a little leak.
Oh.
But we stuffed an old T-shirt in it.
In
so
the leak, and
in
that
the
stopped
leak,
it.
yeah. But because it's not coming from the roof, it's coming out the side.
That's good. So right now,
Do you know what? I was like, what? I might make a leak vegetable joke. Yeah, there's a leak. That's where my mind.
I don't
went
even know what a
first.
leak is, mate.
Oh, okay then.
But I'm not really like versed up on veggies, you know. I'm not the guy that knows a lot about the veg.
I know a little bit about the veg.
I can imagine being a vegetarian. I can imagine you know a fair bit about the veg.
I know a little bit about the veg. Just for anyone listening, I didn't mention that then. It wasn't me that said I'm a vegetarian.
How long you been veggie for?
Like 5-6 years now.
Wow, that's ages. And what prompted you to go vegetarian? What's the drive?
I was working at Lidl.
Okay. You had a good work party there one year.
I did, yeah.
From memory.
Yep. That's the story for another time. Yeah, so I worked there and I was like a manager. I was only like 22. I had a house with my girlfriend. I had a car. I had a lot of stuff going on, and then I ended up just having a few cans every night and just eating terribly. I think because we were so young when we moved into a place, and we were like, right, we're adults now. I've got a car, I've got a full-time job, I've got a house. We just, rather than cooking, we bought a deep fat fryer. And just had chicken nuggets and stuff like that all the time, and just
did you get fat?
Terribly. I got fairly chubby. Yeah, I got
interesting.
The most I was like 14 odd stone, and I'm 6'2", and I don't have the most muscle mass. So 14 stone for me was pretty heavy. There's a picture that I look at if I ever want to feel good about myself, where I'm like at a party dancing, and my head's like I've tucked my chin in, my chin's into my chest, and I'm just a bit. It's more like terribly out of shape than fat or chubby. It's just like, oh, that guy's like, I remember feeling like I'm not fat enough to just own being fat and being like, yeah, I'm just fat, and I'm not slim enough to take a shirt off. I'm like the kind of like embarrassed body, like they're just the halfway. Like I developed bad posture from trying to cover my own tits with my shirt, like
fucking
rounding my shoulders so that my shirt would come off my chest, so that it wouldn't be obvious that my nipples are like 2 inches lower than they should be.
Yeah,
that kind of thing. And then I started like, I started going, oh, I'll eat a bit better. And I was in Tesco with a friend of mine who had never mentioned that he was vegetarian or anything like that. And I'm like picking up like one of those pasta and sauce things it's just dried. It's like rations basically. You
add water to it.
Add water to it.
Yeah, like a chicken carbonara or something.
Yeah. And I was like, this is better than the shit that I've been eating. And then my mate was like, no, man, there's like loads of MSGs and that and this and this and this. If you want to eat healthy, why don't you just get this and this? And I was like, oh, sweet. And then because I'd shown an interest in wanting to eat better and stuff, he started like, oh, well, let's get this food together, or like when he was
he started doing it together, held each other accountable.
True, yeah. And then he still never mentioned that he was vegetarian, but everything he was giving me had no meat in it, and I was like, wait, do you not eat meat? And he was like, no, man, I've not done it for a while. And I was like, all right, no way. And then I just found that.
Where did you find this guy?
This was someone I went to high school.
Oh, right, okay, it's just a mate of yours. I thought it was just a guy you met in a supermarket.
No,
right.
My friend who was in the supermarket with
right.
me. Yeah, maybe I'll skip that part, yeah.
I was just like, man, this guy at the supermarket's getting hella friendly with these meal plans. Like, I mean,
I'll come to your house, man.
I go to a few supermarkets, and I've never had a guy offer to cook meals for me. Like, that just don't happen.
Yeah, that's what happens in Atherton. Honestly.
Until you're giving it away, man.
Yeah, damn.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, and he ended up like, he made it evident that he didn't eat meat, and then I was like, okay, but he only did it through the meals he was making. He didn't like preach or anything like that to me. And then I just started like, I asked him about it. He went, yeah, I've not really eaten meat in a while. Then I started asking him questions about it, like why and stuff like that. And then everything he was saying to me made sense. It was like in line with how I already felt about like animal cruelty. Just like the kind of attitude of like, is that a bit horrible? Yeah, it kind of is, like that kind of thing. But I also already had like weird eating habits from a kid, because my stepdad used to make us like these horrible meals, and
that had meat in them.
Pardon?
They had meat in them. The horrible meal.
Yeah, they had meat. Like,
what's an example of a horrible meal?
Well, yeah, I say like a horrible meal, like, we ate liver once, and I just hated it. But
right.
the rule by horrible meals, I mean he couldn't cook, but he would insist on cooking, and there was a curfew for 5 o'clock every, like 6 o'clock, 5 or 6 o'clock every day. We'd all sit at the table, pretty much in silence, and I had to like, I had to have very strict table manners. I remember if I had my knife turned upside down, he'd smack me for it like that, like this kind of stuff. Yeah, it was really weird. And like, if I ever
super like formal dining situation,
really formal, yeah.
But there's kids involved.
Yeah, and he would like, it's because he's come from like, he was older than my mum, so he's come from this kind of like
proper era.
Yeah, proper era. Even though he isn't proper, he's from like Bamfurlong in Wigan. Like,
yeah,
exactly. So, and he's the most common guy ever. But he was very, very strict on table manners and stuff. So, and then he also cooked these meals that were horrible. It actually got to the point where I've heard another comedian talk about this on a podcast. I think it's Bill Burr actually, saying that if you didn't finish your meal, then you would have it for breakfast
the next day.
Yeah, and I had to have that a lot. Like
the saying is, hungry kids will eat. Just put the food in front of them, mate. Kids will get fucking hungry and they'll eat it. It might not be in the first hour or the second hour, but fuck me, they're gonna eat that food.
Yeah, and it got to the point where like Sunday dinners, he'd cook beef or whatever, and it would be I can't really, I don't remember. I remember it being dry and like hard to chew, and it just tasted horrible. Like. And whenever I'd want like mint sauce or something like that to go with it, more gravy, something to like make it edible, he seemed to be strict on like, you can't have that. No more mint sauce for you. You have to eat it this way. It was just really weird rules. And it actually got to the point where everyone else would leave the table and I'd be sat there all night until I finished my meal.
Yep.
Until like 9 at night, 10 at night sometimes. And it got to the point where I'd start like chewing it up and then screwing it up and like in my hand and putting it in my pockets. And then I'd go to my room. I've eaten it, and I go to my room and take it out of my bin. Then my mum found that. I was like, right,
what
that's it.
What the fuck?
Yeah, like I'm gonna start checking your pockets. So I'm leaving the table. She's checking my pockets for little bits of screwed up meat. And then I'm like, so at that point I was like, right, I've got to get inventive with it now. So I started sticking it under the table like chewing gum. And then she found that. I went mad at me. And I think there was a point where I started throwing it, like balls of chewed up meat in my mouth. I hated it that much. And I was at the table for so long that I started throwing it around the kitchen and making it stick to the walls in anger, like this weird thing. And then she went mad at that. And then they actually moved the table into the conservatory where they could see me through. They were sat in the living room, just like we're sat now, looking through the windows directly in front of them. And I'm in the conservatory facing them, finishing off the meal that I've been sat at the table with for hours.
So what the meals were like liver and
there was that was like one of the things that he gave us one time, and I thought, it's horrible. But
was
it was
everyone else
like,
eating their food though? Was it just you that didn't enjoy it?
Yeah, like my mum would eat it. My sister, like my sister seemed to manage it all right, but it was always like, I feel like it wouldn't have mattered if she left a bit, but with me it was like a big deal if I left any of it or whatever. And
because you were like vindictive in a way, like you're almost like I'm not eating it, and then it makes them want you to have to eat it more.
No, to be honest, I was never ever a fussy eater, and I'm still not to this day. Even though yes, I don't eat meat, but I reckon that there's a lot of people who eat meat, and I probably have a wider,
a less fussy tolerance.
Yeah, on the food that I do eat. Like I have a large selection of food that I can eat, kind of thing. Compared to when I did eat meat, I would only eat a few things. But yeah, I've never been a fussy eater. It's just that he would, I don't know, it was this kind of weird, like, I'm going to make you into a man if you eat this, and you're a skinny little kid kind of thing. And it was his way of like...
He's old-fashioned.
Yeah, very old-fashioned. He's like, what, like, he was born in 1940, so how old is he now? 78.
Jesus.
Yeah, 78 now.
That's so old, mate.
Yeah.
Far out. So at the moment we are sitting in this shed with you and looking around the surroundings in this suburb. It doesn't seem like it's full of proper do-good people. It's a pretty weird fucking place.
Yeah, it's a weird, strange place.
What's the history of this town, Addison?
I think it was like, I read about this recently because I do like stuff like this. Like whenever I go into a town, I'm looking at the tops of buildings, like the old Victorian ones, or like when it says 19 something on like this building was here from 1908 or whatever. I think that's really cool whenever I see old buildings and stuff. And I remember reading up on the history of around here. Maybe it was like a coal mining town or something like that. Like it's proper northern, like like beginnings, and then now it's kind of over the years, like the high school that I went to was called Hesker Fletcher, and that was like two families that kind of got the the town started and not everything together. Ekifleck, yeah, I remember this. That school now closed down because of many reasons. There was actually another story in the paper about one of our ex-teachers
molesting kids.
Swapping photos with a kid, and also people who he was their form teacher. They've said like, he used to brag to me about stuff he'd say to the girls, all the stuff that girls in our year would say to him. It's weird stories that come out like
Ecky fleck, mate, full of fucking nonces.
Yeah.
Do you use the term nonce to describe a pedo?
Yeah, nonce, yeah.
I didn't know nonce in Australia. I get called a nonce by my mum, but it's like, oh, like you silly nonce, you're doing something silly, like you're almost like a goof or something. To be honest, I feel
like I've only learnt that that's what that meant in the last few years. Like I feel like I've heard the word nonce be used before and been like, oh, it just sounds like ponce is a one as well. I think ponce. You poncy
like, prat or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, don't be offending people though, Phil. Stop with the bloody insults. But you live. This is just to give a little more background about your place. You live next to a Chinese restaurant.
This is where we're getting to the gold.
This is where we're getting into the gold, and I find that fucking weird because they're over there bloody murdering dogs, and you're in there being like, save the pigs, you know?
Yeah. So I've got some interesting stories about these guys. Like obviously, they live next door to us, and that's pretty much all they do. They live in that restaurant and work there, as a lot of immigrants in this country do. Like they'll live in like they're the people who, when you go in their shop or whatever, or in the takeaway, or the people who do these kind of jobs, they're there all the time. They're working hard. Do you know what I mean? And like, but that may also. It seems that they have quite like boring lives because of that, like because
they live and work in a Chinese takeaway.
Exactly, yeah. So
and they're Japanese, like it grates on them every single fucking day. They were like, why can't British people like Japanese food? But they don't say it in that accent.
They just do.
They say it in the accent I'm not going to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I don't want to get in trouble from fucking do-gooders on Facebook.
And when I do. If I have to do a character of one of those, I'll try not to do the accent either. Maybe it'll come out. We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens, bro. You never know what's going to happen in this life. But you've been having some problems with the Japanese people that run the Chinese restaurant. It's very puzzling. Don't ask questions. It's the Northwest.
So they're French and they run the Chinese. No. They must have kind of boring lives, and they kind of want to know everything that's going on all the time. And there's also a friend of ours has lived in China for a while, and he comes back sometimes and says like, that's just what Chinese people are like. Like it's just not, they're just not as private. Like everything's
out in the open.
Yeah, true. So it isn't like, say if the door's open, the older Chinese lady who doesn't speak the best English will come up and look in the door and like, just kind of have a look around at what's going on. They always want to know what's going on.
Have a peek in the old Sutton residence.
Yeah, true. And like they're friendly, but it's also sometimes it's a bit invasive. But there's also been times where, this was the big thing. Like there's a gate. You might notice as you walked in. There's a gate. I'm really describing it so well for anyone who wants to rob me. But there's a gate, and there's only half the gate on. And it's a terrible gate anyway. It's been there for ages, and it did get more use as I was coming in and out of it. But the only thing that was holding it there was just a plank of wood that went across the back of it.
Was it nailed to it?
No, it was just like you stick the plank of wood in there to stop it from opening. And then there was like Hurricane Doris or whatever, all these different
Hurricane bloody Janine.
Yeah, exactly. All these hurricanes.
Cyclone Belinda.
Wait. Cyclone Belinda. Typhoon Terry. Wait, is it a hurricane when it's here? Storm. It's just a storm, isn't it? A hurricane. Yeah. We had like all these storms. Storm Doris it was. Storm Doris, that was it.
Storm Sandra.
Yeah. And the door, like, the gate blew open. And it was like a rainy night, horrible. We're all, me, Amy, Nick are all in here, a few other people maybe, just hanging out. And it was on New Year's Day, I remember, because we were like watching the fireworks and we came back in here. And then the Chinese man who lives there, the lady's husband I was just talking about, he barely speaks any English. And there's sometimes they knock on the door if they want to ask us something, ask us to do a favour, which I don't mind doing every so often. But he just kicked the door open on New Year's Day. We're all laughing and joking, having a good time New Year's Day. And then he stood there with an umbrella, and he just starts shouting, "Door, door!" I'm doing the accent. "Door, door!" He's saying like, "The door," and I'm going, "What?" And I stand up, and I'm like, "How dare he just kick this up?" Because this is like a living room in a way. Like I wouldn't kick the door open of I wouldn't even like kick the door of the Chinese takeaway of it. It's just ridiculous. And I walked up to him, and I remember
He kicked it with his foot.
Yeah, he just kicked the door open, this door, and I jumped. I was so angry that I jumped up out of my seat. And as I'm walking towards him, I'm like powering towards him, and then on the walk there, I'm realizing you're looking intimidating now. Like you look like you're about to fight him. And he steps down from the step up to the shed, and he stood there. He just stepped back in the darkness. The umbrella's on him. Like I'm sure it's like a pink umbrella. In my memory, it is anyway. It's like it looks really sad, the image of it. And he's shouting, "Door, door! You close that door." And I'm going, it's not us. Like it's the weather. Like the weather has knocked that off, and it's such a ridiculous thing to be arguing about. But
the fact you left the door open was his problem.
Yeah, that we left the door, even though he means the gate. But we left it open, and like that's going to be an issue. And he kept going mad at us about that, but it wasn't that. It was like I said,
wind.
It was just the wind, the weather.
Yeah.
And he's going mad
From
about
Typhoon Tracy.
Yeah, exactly. Storm Sandra, and I'm stood there, and I'm like, at this point, I'm going, it's not okay that you just kicked the door open. And I'm thinking, you can't understand me anyway, but I'm shouting.
Why are you doing the accent to him?
Did I do the accent?
Yeah, you're like, why you shout at me? Exactly. And I'm like, whoa, bloody racist Northwest out here. Yeah? Like it's the Wild West up in this shit.
Well, I was like, listen, you can't. No.
Fucking you tell him, man.
I said, I was kind of shouting at him at this point, saying it's not cool to do this. He goes inside, and then I remember thinking, like, I'm done now. This is like, it's really pissed me off that it made me furious that he would just kick the door open and shout at us for something that isn't our issue. And then I didn't speak to him for ages. Like whenever I walk past, usually they wave and stuff, and I just kind of blanked them for a while because I just thought I want them to know that that wasn't okay. And then one time they, like a little while after, they knock on the door, and I'm like, oh, I know who this is. We go up to the door and open.
Did it sound like a Chinese knock?
Yeah, it was like. I'm not going to try and do some.
There was the theme song to Hong Kong Phooey. Hong Kong Phooey, number one super guy. Dun dun. Hong Kong Phooey.
It was.
Yeah.
I could hear through the knock that it was Hong Kong Phooey.
Yeah.
And I knew
Did you see that? Have you seen that show?
On the door.
They played chopsticks on the door.
I don't know if this is. People aren't going to be happy with this, but fuck them. Right. So anyway, I go to the door. And I open the door, and she's got some prawn crackers for us. And I'm like, oh, well, there's some guys in here who'll eat that. Thanks a lot. And then I'm
Can
like,
you eat
okay.
prawn crackers as a vegetarian?
I don't know. I don't know if I ate them that day.
How long ago was this?
This was like
last
this
year?
Like this year.
Oh,
no, so yeah, New Year's Day of this year.
Oh, right.
And she gives us these prawn crackers. I'm like, this is her way of an apology. And I was like, all right. If they're
could have got you a meal though. Prawn crackers is a bit rich.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Bottle of water or something.
They do offer sometimes, like, do you want some chips or whatever? And in this particular scenario, it was prawn crackers. And then they went, also, do you want some of these? And it was some toffee from Thornton's. And Amy, my girlfriend, she goes, oh, I used to have them when I was younger, like when I was a kid. My dad used to get me them. And I was like, all right, yeah, we'll have those. And then we sit down, and she's like, we're offering out the prawn crackers. I'm talking about it, going, oh, maybe I've overreacted. Maybe it's not that bad. I feel kind of bad now. And then Amy's like, are you opening those toffees? I'm like, yeah, all right. So I open them, and then I'm like,
they're poisoned. Well,
I'm passing them round, and and I start chewing, and Amy's going, and she's eating one like, just like I remember. And I'm eating it going, this is kind of weird. Like, what is this? Like, there's something weird about. And I was like, oh no. And I remembered a while ago, they gave us some Brazil nuts for some reason. And I looked at the date, and it was a year out of date on the Brazil nuts. And I was like, oh, I just won't eat them. And then I thought, as I was eating it, I went, we've not even checked first. And I looked, and they went out of date 8 years ago in 2010. And we'd been eating it. And it's like toffee or fudge, which has milk in it. So so not only did they go out of date 10 years ago, or 8 years ago, whatever I said, but I think it was 8 years ago, because then we figured it out that they would have been made like
a year before,
year or two before that, yeah. Because if you look at the best
amount
before
of preservatives in them,
exactly. So it's like 10-year-old, and that just made me even more furious. I was like, why have you given us poison bait? Because that to them is like,
did you guys get sick?
No, I didn't. I just thought like I can't. I just was done with it at that point. I just thought like I was really furious in the moment because I just flip out at stuff. But after that, I was just like they tried to do a good gesture and just were stupid about it. Like they obviously saw a box in their kitchen. And like went, oh, there's some stuff here that we've never eaten. Let's give it to them without checking the date first.
Yeah.
Or it's an intentional thing like, whoops, well, we didn't know. Here, eat the... I don't know, it could be either way. But yeah, there's sometimes tensions. But what happened recently, there was a dead rat outside of the bins outside of the...
They didn't cook it?
They didn't cook it, no.
Why not?
Well, maybe they did because it was there, and then I'm walking into the back garden one day, I'm like, holy shit. And Nick's with me, my friend Nick, the producer of my podcast. You might have seen him at Belly Laugh. Anyway, he's there, there's a dead rat, and we're both like, oh, that's disgusting. And then I'm like, I don't want to move that, because that rat's going for their food, it's going for their, like, it's trying to get in there. They've got...
But the rat was dead?
It was dead, yeah, so they've got little rat repellent stuff. They've got, like, all the stuff that you need to stop rats from getting in, and that's probably what killed it. It's probably eaten some of that and died there. And so I'm like, that's
a sad death for the rat. All they wanted was a bit of, quality MSG.
Exactly. And I was like, I'm not moving. It's not my issue, and I don't want to touch a dead rat anyway. It's terrifying. I once found a dead cat and rang the police. So,
Isn't it you that said that you don't like dead things?
Yeah, that's one of my jokes. That, like I don't like if I had a dog and it died, and I had a family as well, and they were like, Dad, what do we do with the body? I'd be like, let's just burn the house down because I'm not picking this dog up, like this dead body up. Just that kind of thing. And so I was like, that's disgusting. I did also make an Instagram story where I was like, the Chinese takeaway next door to me employed Ratatouille and he couldn't handle it. What was the other one? Can't believe I met Dead Mouse, like the DJ or whatever, that kind of thing. And anyway, and I was like, that's not my issue, but I don't want to go, oh, there's a rat there, because they'll go, can you move it? And I'll go, I don't want to move it. So Amy went round and was like, oh, do you know there's that? Because they're not going to make her, they're not going to ask her to do it. Yeah. So then later on we're in here, she knocks on the door, and I open the door, and it's the old Chinese lady. She's got like a cloth over her mouth, as if to like, because she's scared of the smell, or she's just scared of it. And I open the door, she's just going, oh, like that, jumping around, like scared. And I'm like, what? And she's got a flashlight, and she's going, where is it? And I'm like, it's there, pointing. She's going, like jumping. And then I'm grabbing the torch in her hand, pointing it to the light.
Bring the bin to me.
Yeah. And I'm pointing the light to where it is. And she just, oh my God. And she's like jumping. And she's going, and she's like pointing at the grid that's in front of the shed. There's just a little grid on the floor that's tiny. She's like, you put it in there. And I'm like, that rat will not fit in that grid. And why would we put this up? It'll stink. That's there permanently.
Put
then.
It in the bin.
Yeah, do something with it. And
the
she was
bin
going,
to
all right,
me.
we'll push it, put it there. And I was trying to make it clear, I don't want to move that.
Yeah.
Why doesn't your husband do it? Like I kept saying that, she kept going, he can't. And I was like, I bet he could. I bet he's done it before. And I'm pointing, and she's pointing.
It's not the first time a Chinese bloke's seen a dead rat. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I've seen the streets of China. I know what goes on, mate.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Bloody ni hao.
True. and then she starts pointing to. We've got some food growing in my back garden as well, like just a bit of food in a little vegetable bed. And she's pointing at that, going, put it in there. And I'm like, with the food? No way. Like, it's just ridiculous. And then they ended up moving it, and I think that they've cooked it up and eaten it because they've been closed for a week, and maybe that's what's poisoned them.
Jesus. Was this only recently?
This was like last week, yeah.
Oh my God. So the dead rat was here last week?
The dead rat was here last week.
Oh my God. Did you have the dead rat on the podcast?
Yeah, he didn't have much to say.
Was it because he was dead?
It was because he was dead.
Yeah, okay. That does make a fuckload of sense. You're a smart guy, Phill Sutton.
Right?
So, this area, obviously, it's fucking weird as fuck that you live in front of a Chinese restaurant or behind a Chinese restaurant. We're behind it now, but we could be in front of it tomorrow. You know what I mean? Anything could happen in this life. But I assume living out here in the wilderness, you don't get many opportunities to go to the beach.
I do not.
When was the last time you went to the beach?
I think we went to Ainsdale Beach, if you've heard of that one. That's like...
Nope. No beaches in England are good, so I don't care about them.
It's not the best, no. But it's one of the best ones.
In the country or
near here.
Okay.
If you go to Blackpool Beach, you just walk through like what seems... It's like quicksand made of cowpat.
Oh.
That's what it feels like. Like you get...
Does it smell like shit?
It smells horrible, yeah. And you walk in for ages until you actually get to any water. And you're walking through all this like quicksand. It's just horrible. And then Southport Beach, I think that's okay, but Ainsdale Beach seems to be the one that's like, it's got like sand dunes and like nice grass, and then you get onto the beach. It's actually a real beach, and then the water's not too far, and it's pretty good. But no, I think even there you have to walk quite far to get to the actual beach. Like there's no beach around here that's like you sat on the beach and the tide's coming in, and it's like a nice beach. But the last time I went to a proper beach was when I lived in Dubai, and it wasn't far from there. But that was a man-made beach as well, so that was really weird.
So it was a fake beach,
Yeah,
but that was
but-
your favourite beach.
Yeah, because it was the only beach I'd been. Like, it's the only time in my life I could ever just drive to the beach and go and hang out there.
That's hectic.
Yeah,
So the man-made beach, do you know how it worked?
I think they controlled the tides and things like that. Like, it was just insane the stuff that goes on in Dubai. Like, I'm sure they spray potassium in the sky to make it rain sometimes. Like when I arrived there, the elevator in my apartment building was broken, and it said inside like due to the floods, and I was like, floods? And I asked someone about it and went, oh yeah, they like forced the rain out. They made it rain, and it got to the point where it was just like they'd done it too much, so it just absolutely flooded everywhere. Like Dubai's not made for floods; it's made for hot weather, so everywhere is flooded and everything. Like apparently, when it rains so bad there, once twice a year, people don't know how to react on the road to it. So there's so many car accidents. People have the
Were you
wipers
there
on.
when this rain
No,
happened?
I got there just after, and it didn't rain once while I was there.
Really? No
yeah,
rain
not
for
once,
7
not
months?
A single one, yeah.
That's
and,
almost like Australia, but when it does rain, it rains in Australia. But it doesn't never rain, it just doesn't rain regularly.
Well, yeah, like it is a desert. It's just a
So is
country in
Australia.
the desert. Yeah.
Australia's a fucking tropical desert.
Yeah, true.
Beautiful, mate. It's bloody beautiful.
Tropical, yeah. It's not at all like that in Dubai. Like, it's just... It literally was sand, and then they made all this stuff on top of it, in a way.
So why did you go to Dubai again?
So I've been doing swimming teaching for about 5-6 years now. I think I've added an extra year there. Maybe 5 years I've been doing it now. And I knew when I got into it that it's something I can go abroad with and travel with. But then...
Was that part of the reason why you did it?
Well, I'd already been into swimming from a kid, but I never competed with. I'd never gotten that good at it. I'd never like been in a swimming club and stuff, but I knew I was pretty good. Like I was faster than most. I don't know, not faster. What I mean is like, say if I just go swim with my friends, then I'm like, I seem to be one of the better swimmers out of the group. Do you know what I mean? Like, I never knew the strokes properly, but I was efficient in the water kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I always thought that doing a lifeguard job or something would have been good. And then when I quit working at Lidl, managing the like full-time job, I just wasn't enjoying it. I just quit because I was like, I'm done with this. Because if I keep going down this road, I'm going to look back on in 10 years and go, what have I done with these 10 years? I've just worked as a manager at Lidl and just pissed my life away.
Yeah.
So I just quit that. And then when I'm looking for a job, I see apprentice lifeguard and swimming teacher, and I was like, that would be awesome. And I put all my effort into that application. I go
Casual lifeguard.
Casual lifeguard, yeah.
Keep it cash.
This is all material stuff. And so I got an interview, and I was 22 at the time, and I remember going to the interview, and it was all just like 16 to 18 year olds there and me, and there was two.
And you were 22.
I was 22, yeah.
Okay.
So I was like, I've got a bit of an advantage on them because I've got a bit more experience. So I have more job experience and stuff. And then we had to do, before the actual interview, you had to do like a swimming assessment to see if you could actually swim, if you've got like the basics to it. And I think it was like do 2 lengths in a minute, which is no issue. I did everyone else went before me, and some of the girls did like, 2 of the girls did like head up breaststroke really slow, and some of them got in just on a minute or just after a minute, and like they didn't seem like they were putting loads of effort into it. I swam at, like, when it got to me, I swam like the 2 other lads, they did theirs, and he looked so out of breath from doing it. And I was like, okay, I've got a bit of an advantage here. I did my first length pretty fast, and then I was like, oh, I've gone a bit too fast. It's going to look like I'm showing off. So I just did the other one on my back slowly and got in about 10 seconds faster than everyone else.
Jesus.
But I'm not the fastest swimmer. Like, I'm all right at swimming now that I've learnt it since the job. I've like learnt all the strokes properly. But at the time, I was like all right at swimming, and these guys weren't great swimmers at all. So I already thought this is good. There's a bit where you have to get a brick off the floor, and 2 of the girls couldn't do it. They just couldn't get to the bottom and pick it up. And
How deep was the pool?
well, where we were doing it was 2 meters, so like just a bit taller.
Not that
than
far.
you and I, yeah. And they were struggling with that, and there was just a few things like tread water for so long, and some of the girls were like out of breath. But then I'm in the changing rooms with the 2 guys who have just done those 2 lengths as well, but hammered it to try and make it in the minute. And you can tell they're out of breath. They're getting changed, and I'm drying off, making sure that I'm dry before I put on interview clothes. And they're not doing that. They're just getting ready as quick as they can. The hair's all wet, and they're putting on these this shirt that's like sticking to them because they've not dried themselves off properly. It's just this. You can tell that like, this is maybe the first interview. They're like terrified.
Yeah.
And one of the guys is like, oh, I'm really tired from that swim. And he's like this, and I'm like, you feel sick, mate? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, maybe you should go to the toilet and just like throw up before this interview because you'll feel better. And he's like, all right. So he goes up, he throws up, and then the other guy, who's a little bit chubby than this guy, he's got his shirt buttoned up. I think it was wrong. It was buttoned up wrong, like one button higher than the other. And he's watching the other guy being sick, and he's like, oh.
I
feel a bit sick.
Gross.
Yeah. So he
Your
goes to the
competition
toilet.
for this job are both just chugging their guts
Yeah.
up in a fucking swimming pool toilet.
Yeah. Not only does the guy who saw the guy throwing up, but not only does he throw up himself, but he rips his shirt, like the button bursts on his shirt.
Oh my god.
So his shirt is fucked, and the other guy's throwing up, and he doesn't feel well at all. The only competition I have are these 2 girls who can't really swim anyway. And then I go into the interview, and I've chatted about this interview with my boss since. She was like, yeah, you're the only one who could swim. You were really impressed us in the actual interview bit. But also the other guys who were in there. One girl was just going, everything they said, they were like, so why do you think you'd be good to work with kids? And she was like, well, I love it. I just love it. like swimming and kids and just helping out and just being part of the team lifeguard. I love it. And it's just,
But she hasn't done it.
I love it. Just like that's what she was like.
What the fuck?
So I had a good chance in that, and then I got into
if
it.
you didn't get this job, you should have been really disappointed.
Exactly right. And then I got into it. I did well with it. I was apprentice for a long time, doing a lot of hours for not much money.
Keeping it cash.
We've got a visitor. It's Nicholas Cook. Just to make a quick disclaimer on this one, Matty and I are doing my podcast just after this, and my producer's just arrived. So that's the sound of the creak you just heard. Yeah. So anyway, and I do an apprenticeship. I'm doing long hours, and I'm doing like 8 jobs altogether, like admin stuff, swimming teaching, lifeguarding, cleaning, all these different jobs as an apprentice, not getting paid that much. And then when I actually got to the point where I could get paid like minimum wage, I just felt like I wasn't enjoying doing all the aspects of the job. It was stressful. I was working too much, just like how I'd experienced working at Lidl and stuff. So then I started just doing teaching hours. And I wasn't making much money at the time, but I knew I wanted to get away and work in another country. But everywhere, it's like to go to Australia and work there, to go to New Zealand, places that I did want to go, you have to have quite a lot of money saved up first before you go there. And Dubai was like, we pay for your flights, we pay for your visa, we pay for your, like, to get set up here. And like, it's pretty much like, here's a ticket to, you can just come and live this great life. Like, they really sold it in the interview, like, yeah, we'll sort this. And then when you get there, it's, anyone who works in Dubai will probably agree with this, that you work, whatever job you're doing, you end up, they really work you loads. Like,
They work you
really
to the bone.
Yeah, for sure.
So
like,
who were you working for? Like a Dubai swimming company?
yeah, it was like one of the first ones in Dubai.
And were you teaching kids from all over the world, or just Arab
definitely.
kids?
All over the world. Like, each class would have just a wide range of different.
Any Arab kids, like
yeah,
local
lots
kids?
of Arab kids.
Okay.
Yeah, there was this kid called Beder. That was his name. I did a joke about him on stage recently, actually. And his name was spelled Badr. And I remember being, he could barely speak English. I remember being like, I really want to get your name right. Like, I was like, Badr, like that. And he's repeating it back to me. He's like 4 or 5, the kid. And I'm like, right. So I've got his name. And then he seemed happy that I tried to remember his name correctly, because other white people are probably just going, Badr, yeah, all right then, Badr, like that. Just like said it weird or whatever. And I couldn't really teach him the regular way, because I'm usually just giving an example or explaining it. And then the kid can process that. Even if they're French and they know a bit of English, they're still they're still understanding it. I'm putting it in simple terms, but for him it was like one word thing that you have to remember. If I go like kick, he's learning kick as well. Like as I'm teaching him how to kick, he's learning the word kick. Do you know what I mean? Like he's learning English in my lessons as well as he's learning swimming. And I tried to make it as simple as possible, just kind of communicate through demonstrations and stuff. And his parents said to me he really like looks forward to come to lessons. He loves his swimming lessons and stuff. And as I was leaving, I didn't get a chance to tell them that I was going, because they were on holiday the week before my last week. And when it got to my last week, I like, I would have told you the week before, but you were away. But I'm leaving this week. This is my last lesson. And like, that's funny, because he got you. He said that he wants to get you a gift. Like we were in the mall the other day, and he went, "Can I get Phil a gift?" Like, and I was like, "Oh, that's awesome." And he went, "Well, this is a good timing, isn't it?" So he comes out the changing room. He's holding something behind his back, and it's dead cute. And he walks over. I'm like, "All right, mate, have you got something for me there?" And he's like, I'll pass it. And it's a big box for a Rocher. Like, gifts in Dubai were like really, it's always an expensive gift. Some people got watches and stuff like that. It's mad what you get.
Really?
Like, I got like this cool water bottle from this Indian lady and it was like, I read the thing on the bottle, and it's like in India they believe this with the water, and there's a copper ball inside. Just little cool gifts that I got off people. But yeah, he got me these for a Rocher, and then I'm like, "Oh, thank you very much, mate." And then like I give him a hug, and I'm like, "Cheers, buddy." And then his parents like, "Didn't you want to say something? Go on, you can say it." And then I'm like, "Yeah, go on, mate." And I'm expecting him to go like, "Thanks for teaching me swimming." Like, him saying that will be impressive. He's learnt the phrase, "Thanks for teaching me swimming." And I'm expecting him to say that. And then they go, "Go on." And then his parents like turn away and cover their eyes, like, "Go on, we're not looking," kind of thing. And then he turns to me and then he goes, "I love you." And I was like, holy shit. I didn't know how to react to it. And when I've told a joke on stage, I always just go like, I didn't know how to react to it. And I'm like, "I love your swimming. It's really good swimming. I also love my adult girlfriend as well," for anyone listening, like that kind of thing. But yeah, he did actually say "I love you," and that was like, holy shit. Because
did you tell Amy about this?
Yeah. She was
so
I think
funny.
She was visiting me at the time, and I remember coming back being like, "This kid just told me he loves me. Like, how insane is that?" It was insane. Yeah. But yeah, there's lots of different nationalities in Dubai. I enjoyed working.
So you didn't love him?
To be honest, I didn't know the guy. I mean,
he felt like he knew you, though.
Yeah, I'm all for brotherly love.
Yeah.
But we've got to build a bit more of a rapport
Before we just start dropping
we
the
only see
L-bomb.
each other once a week, so until we're like fist bumping and being like, "Sup, buddy?" Like, I mean,
what up, G?
we don't even speak the same language, to be honest.
No.
So
the only thing he knows how to say to you in English is "I love you." I think
Yeah,
you're in trouble. I think it's really
yeah.
going to cheapen the saying.
True.
You know.
He did say it the one time though.
Yeah, that was nice though.
Yeah.
But you never saw him again.
I never saw him again. after
Maybe
that.
he's found love somewhere else. I hope so.
Maybe he's found another. Maybe he just.
Maybe he's fucking a swimming teacher.
Oh God, I was gonna feel bad about saying maybe he's whoring around the word "I love you" by just using the word "whore," but you said he's fucking a swimming teacher. Maybe they're.
I'll always one up you, mate. I'll always one up you. You think you're dirty? I'll show you, dirty boy. You're gonna learn today.
Show me dirty.
Show me dirty, daddy. Let's get it, boy. So I assume if you don't go to the beach very often, you probably don't fish very often.
That's a nice segue.
Segue onto what?
I don't know.
This is also unplanned.
Exactly, but yeah, we were in a shop before and I saw some fishermen's friends. I was like, I've got a story about that. But yeah, no, on the subject of fishing, when I was younger, I feel like I've got a story for everything today.
Mate, you do. You're the story machine.
Right, yeah, I've got actually, it's kind of a sad one, this, really. Oh, fuck it, who cares?
What's that?
This story is kind of sad.
Oh, that's alright. I like
sadness. It
sadness.
isn't too sad.
Oh.
Yeah, I did fishing. Like a friend of mine in school, high school, was fishing for a while, and I'd go down to the local pond, the Clayhole. Remember the Clayhole, Nick? It was a place in where I originally grew up, Hindley Green, it was called, and there was the Clayhole. That was like the pond, and it used to apparently be a hole full of clay. I don't know what the story is behind it.
When did the fish come in? When did the clay
yeah.
leave and the fish come in?
It must have been like restored as a pond. But anyway, that was way before I was born. The Clayhole, we'd go fishing there with my friend, and I was just learning how to do it. My granddad was like, "Oh, you're into fishing? Like, finally, you're into something that I can I can
Something
be
that
on
I give
board
a
with.
fucking shit
yeah,
about.
Yeah. And he goes on
Nice
holiday.
one, Granddad.
He goes on holiday. I fall out with this kid who I'm fishing with, and he comes back and he's like, "Still fishing then?" I'm like, "Oh no, not really." Like not wanting to say I fell out with that kid kind of thing. And then he goes, "Oh, I guess I'll just give this to Ray, my friend then." And he gets out a fishing rod, and I was like, "Oh shit." I felt horrible. I still to this day feel horrible about that. Like,
Did you take the fishing rod?
I did take it, and this is the worst part about it. I took it like, because you said that, I will definitely use this. And he died before I got rid of it.
Oh my god.
How bad is that? I never used it ever.
You're so bad.
I know. But he did also try and make me a guitar when I was a kid.
Okay.
Because I was interested in guitar, and he was like, "I'm left-handed." He wants to make me a left-handed guitar. He was very good at woodwork. He started making me a left-handed guitar from scratch, and it got to the point where, again, one of those things where I kind of, and I think this was my stepdad's, kind of like his attitude made me this happen to me. His attitude of being like, why do that? That's stupid kind of thing, or like, oh, you're not very good at that kind of thing. Do you know, that kind of putting me down kind of thing.
Yeah.
Made me go through fads of doing stuff where I'd get really interested in something like guitar, and then I get a little bit into it and go, I don't think I can do this because this guy keeps saying that I'm like a worthless piece of shit.
Yeah.
So I gave up on that. But then before he died, like I'd been learning guitar for a while, and my sister like showed him a video of me playing guitar just before he died, like not long before he died. So that there's at least that. There's at least the fact that
He knew that you did it.
he knew that I did something like with, like, it'd be cool for him to know that he was like the only kind of good male role model in my life, but I wish I would have seen him more for that reason. But at least he knew that, eh? At least he knew that I'd put my effort into some stuff like that, yeah.
That's it. Do you still play guitar now?
Yeah, I've actually picked it up a little bit more recently. When I started, in the last few years, especially since I started swimming teaching, I went through a year or two of just being focused only on like running and swimming and exercising and eating really well and like no smoking, no drinking, like, and I even stopped playing guitar, stopped doing things that like hobbies. It was mostly about health and fitness for like a year or two, just smashing it. After I'd been like overweight, like it was just this stark contrast.
Good to like get on top of it.
Yeah, and now I'm in the point where I've picked up the creative things again, like doing stand-up, making videos, doing a podcast, like playing a bit of guitar again now that I'm doing. And then the other aspects of my life, the health and fitness part, has gone out the window. Like I never seem to find a good balance of things.
You ate waffles last night, bro.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I eat packets of buttons every day.
Do you really?
Yeah, I have like 1 or 2 coffees a day.
Wow. The buttons thing is
really
alarming. That's like Dan Bain's numbers.
It is, yeah. Every single day.
That's unbelievable.
I have a packet of buttons pretty
Nick,
much.
would you eat a packet of buttons a day? No.
They like
that is.
before he watches me eating them. Yeah, I eat them. Sometimes
Do
it's 2
you
packets
do you
of
only do
buttons.
plain buttons or do you do like the caramel ones?
Oh, sometimes I'll have them. Sometimes
Right.
I'll have
Where's the best place to get buttons around here? I feel like I want some.
Bargain Booze just over there.
Like close?
Yeah, and
We
do you know
could
what's
go
bad
get some
about it
now.
as well?
Is it £1?
It's £1. They often like laugh at the fact that I get the same shit every day.
That's
like
unbelievable.
a can of San Pellegrino, chocolate buttons.
Oh, like the lemon San Pellegrino?
Yeah.
Oh my god, you're
tits,
killing me. We're going to go do it right now after this.
Although
This is
at that place they
so
only have the
funny
orange one.
because every single fucking time I do a podcast at my house, a fucking siren goes past. And I thought if I record somewhere else, maybe, just maybe, I could get an
We have
episode
it every
where
episode.
there's no fucking sirens.
I don't think it'll pick up on the mics, but every single episode we have some sort of like either there's an alarm going off or there's a siren or there's like just people shouting in the streets and stuff. We're pretty much on the main street here, so you just get drunk people going past all the time.
Literally, I don't think I can ever. It's not a Giggle Gang podcast unless we have a siren.
Yeah.
Like, it's fucking disgusting. I'm so angry, but yet so pleased.
Start it with a siren, I think.
Start the podcast with a siren.
Whoop,
Whoop,
whoop.
Watch out, boys. It's the sound of the Giggle Gang. Whoop, whoop. That's the sound of the gang.
How long do you usually do these things for?
An hour, bro. We still got time. Let's talk about. I wanted to ask before you completely derailed my
We didn't do
fucking.
the fisherman's friend thing.
Oh, we haven't done Fisherman's Friend. I thought that was the story about
It
the
was,
fish.
and then I went with fishing. No, the fisherman's friend story was.
Oh.
I was once at my friend's house, I went round, and I think that part is important. Right, so anyway, I go round, and
quick, we haven't got a lot of time.
Yeah, and he passes me this. One of my mates passes me these fisherman friends, and he's like, "Yeah, I've one of these, man. I've painted them all blue." And I was like, "What?
What colour are they usually?"
Brown or something like that. And he's
Okay.
like, "This is a blue one or something like that." And he passed me one of them out the packet, and he said, "This is one of the blue ones." And at the time, I was looking for my phone in my mate's house. I was looking around, going, "Where the fuck is my phone?" Anyway, yeah, I've one of these, man, like that. And because I was in this frantic, like, had to be somewhere, and I'd misplaced my phone. I'm just like, fine, and I grab one and put it in my mouth, and I'm eating it, and then I can see him, like, my two mates, like, kind of giggling a little bit, like, "Oh, did he just really do that?" And I remember just processing that a tiny bit, but being so, like, I wanted to just find my phone so much that it doesn't matter whatever's going on there, I'll just think. So I'm looking around frantically. I'm going, where's my phone? Where's my phone? And then they start playing porn on the laptop, on the computer in my mate's living room.
Two of them together.
The two of them together.
They're both having like
porn.
a double Dutch rudder, like Wankfest.
No, like, as great as that would have been, they're just putting porn on and going, "What do you think of that, Sutton?" And I'm walking around going, "Where is my phone?" And
it's Viagra.
It's Viagra, yeah.
Oh, it's Viagra.
Yeah,
it's
and
Viagra.
I did not know. And honestly, if I got an erection, I'd be telling that story. It's a very funny story. I didn't get an erection, right? It didn't
So
work.
it didn't work.
I was
So did you watch the porn?
No, I was like so frantically trying to find my phone. Their account of the story is that I had an erection and my excuse was, "Where's my phone? Where's my phone?" Trying to cover it up. But the truth is that I didn't get an erection. Fair enough, I have some Viagra. If we were sat here now and you're giving some Viagra and we're just chatting,
I'd probably get an
I'd
erection.
probably get an erection, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd have the Viagra, you would get an erection.
Yeah.
You'd be like, "I think he might get an erection soon, so I'm going to get one in preparation." But
Yeah, I'm the safe bet on getting an erection. I think out of the three of us, I think I could get an erection
You're the
faster
youngest
than
one.
Nick could.
Yeah, you're the
Yeah, I
youngest
think
one.
I've got the most testosterone running
True.
through my veins, but
Probably have.
my face doesn't show it because I can't grow facial hair and I'm very self-conscious. You know.
I couldn't grow facial hair for quite some time, but it comes in all right now.
Oh, it's
Maybe it was that
beautiful.
fisherman's friend that I had.
Maybe I should take Viagra podcast stunt.
Nice.
Are we looking for content or are we looking for motherfucking content?
Viagra, yes.
Yes.
You get someone on there, you get them on a Viagra. Someone you don't know that well, and you give them a Viagra somehow. Crush it up in a drink.
Tuesday Tony.
Counts as drugs, I think. And I think that would be relapsing.
Oh no. Bugger.
But yeah,
Someone who I don't know. Dave Borden.
you've already. I think that he would. What I mean is, if you got someone.
Are you
who-
saying who I can race, like I can beat in an erection race?
No, someone like, say if I got an erection on your podcast, I'd probably go, "Dude, I don't know why, but I've got a massive bone on." I'd be like, "Dude, look at this bone on I've got." Whereas, and Dan might be like that. Dan might be like, "Oh shit, don't know why."
Did you see the
but I've
picture of Dan's penis?
No.
Oh, you get him to send it to you. It's great.
Okay. Hey man, can I get a dick pic? What?
He's got one in the chamber. Don't worry.
All right.
It's a good.
Is it a good one?
Oh, it's a
Is he wearing
great.
glasses and like?
Yeah,
a
yeah,
mustache?
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
right,
yeah.
Great.
And it's doing activities. It has its own like hands and that. Like it's literally hilarious. It's the funniest. Literally, we were on the train and we were all looking at Dan's dick, and then Scarlett was like, "What are you guys looking at?" And Dan's like, "Oh, we're just looking at my dick." And she's like, "I don't want to see it." I was like, "You do want to see it, Scarlett.
Did
It's
she look?
great." And she was like, "Oh, I don't want to." And then Dan was like, "I won't show it to you if you don't want to." And she's like, "Okay, all right, let me see it." Because he didn't like push it on her. She was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, it must be good because like." You know, he's all right with me not seeing it. So then curiosity killed the cat and also
she
killed
does,
her
yeah.
fucking mojo, mate. She's turned lesbian. She's not even now to do with that, mate.
No
But
way.
yeah, it was a great dick pic. I don't usually like dick pics,
But Dan's.
but Dan's just he's up the dick pic game.
Right. Okay.
You know,
I'd be a fan of, if I was a single man, I think I'd just send full nudes.
full nudes.
Yeah, just like.
Do you think that's your best market? Like that's
Yeah, I think that dick pic is a bit.
dick pic's a bit aggressive.
It is,
I think
yeah.
if they can see your eyes and
Yeah.
like your piss hole, then you know they're more likely to get
If
down.
you're doing half sexy, half funny nude,
Yeah.
then it's
Maybe
like,
do a nude, but
alright.
have like a tabby cat as your armpit. Like lie down and put your arm up like this, and have a cat like coming out of your arm and
Exactly.
be like, nah, but make
Yeah.
sure like your ball bag's in there as well.
This is my advice for anyone who's single.
Yeah, if you're out there
Don't send
dating,
dick pics.
like Bumble and Tinder and all that, it's just so empty, guys. Like,
Mm.
just get creative and get your
Yeah.
pants off.
Full nudes.
That sounds like a good plan. I think that's a good place to end it.
Yeah.
Let's promote your comedy night because you do something. I don't like attending, but I feel like you've sort of locked me in, so I have to. But where
you are
can,
emceeing.
I
This
know
week.
I'm emceeing tomorrow, so
Tomorrow, yeah, shit. No,
it's going to be exciting. Yeah, I always MC after you, mate.
You do.
So it's called Belly Life Comedy. Oh, you do the
Yeah, I'll do
promo.
it,
It's
I'll
your
do it.
fucking night,
Yeah,
mate.
no, I just kind of shut up after I said that. Right, Belly Laugh Comedy Night. It's in Manchester at Dive Bar. Dive Bar is located between Affleck's Palace, you all know it, and Sasha's Hotel.
I don't know either of those places.
Okay. Your Manchester folk might know it.
Okay.
Just off Piccadilly. If you type in Dive Bar, you'll find it.
Yeah.
We all use phones these days. We all have Google Maps. Or could have the confidence to walk up to someone and go, "Where's Dive Bar?" And they'll go, "Mate, it's just round the corner. I'm going there myself," because everyone is. So anyway, Dive Bar in Manchester, Belly Laugh, Tuesdays. The show starts at 8:30, but doors are 7:45. It's in a nice little room called the Snug. It's a good night.
It is.
It is.
I've got a question for you, Phil.
Give it me.
Do you reckon that Yahoo, the search engine, have their own map software? Would you reckon they just piggyback off
I
Google?
bet they do. I bet Bing doesn't. There's no Bing Maps.
Do you
or
think it's
Yahoo
Bing Maps?
Do you reckon there's Ask Jeeves Maps?
Maybe. What about Speedy Pete's internet directories maps?
What would Ask Jeeves be like? Direct Jeeves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Direct G's. Fucking hell, mate. Right, well,
It's a good way to end it.
fuck, it's the
Direct
best
G's.
way to end it. I literally can't think of anything more I want to say to you, Phill Sutton. It's so good that we're going to record another podcast after this.
I know.
Keep an eye out for me on the Sayin Sutton podcast featuring the man himself, Phill Sutton. But until next time, feed your cat and have a good one. Bye.
Peace. Nice.
Pause it, you big bastard.